Bitfarms completing its acquisition of Stronghold Digital Mining, which you announced back in August for, I believe, $175 million. Tell me about this deal and how it shifts strategy for Bitfarms.
Yeah, happy to. And thanks for having me on, Jordan. It's a really exciting deal here for Bitfarms. What we're enabling here with this transaction is we're acquiring 2 stranded power plants in Pennsylvania, as well as a huge pipeline for energy assets in the United States. For us as a company, we've always been a very internationally focused company. We only had about 6% of our operations in the United States last year. By the end of this year, with this transaction and a few other things we're doing, we're going to be 66% of our operations in the United States. So really transformational deal for us. Opens up a world of opportunities beyond Bitcoin mining, especially on the HPC side of things, where these 2 sites are very strategically located. And for us as a company, completing this, the largest merger ever between 2 public Bitcoin mining companies is a major accomplishment. And really sets us up well for the years ahead.
Yeah, there's so much to talk about there, from energy to high performance computing. I want to start with the AI front and AI applications. How is the growth of that business going for Bitfarms, and how does that as a priority stack up compared to Bitcoin mining? I know this is probably a ways off, but is there ever a world in which Bitcoin mining becomes a side hustle, so to speak?
I think that world is here today. I think a lot of the industry is looking at that specific opportunity. And I mean, it makes sense from numerous perspectives. Obviously, Bitcoin price is very volatile. And when you're planning your business and you're not in control of your revenue, it makes it really difficult to plan on a multi-year horizon. What the advantage is with HPC is that you've got visibility 5, 10, 15 years down the road. You can make the investments now and know that they're going to pay off in the next 3, 5 years. You can secure financing, and it really enables the businesses to think on a much longer term basis. I don't think that means that Bitcoin mining is going away, but I think when you're looking at how do you structure your business and how do you build it, how do you build value over the long term, this HPC provides really, really strong foundation for companies to build off of. And then Bitcoin mining might come in here as an absorber of inefficiencies, right? I think the future is probably going to be maybe something like 70, 80% HPC with maybe 20 or 30 Bitcoin.
Well, in terms of building out that HPC infrastructure, one of the short-term things that we're watching right now are tariffs, especially ones that hit chips that could affect both AI and Bitcoin mining businesses. Have you seen an impact to your business from these trade tensions right now, or how are you mitigating them if they continue to escalate?
Yeah, so it's a great question. Tariffs are always something that are a big thing to work with when you're importing lots of equipment. Specifically, the tariffs haven't impacted us too much. We don't expect them to impact us too much rolling forward, because our focus is really on the energy infrastructure. And when you look at what's the bottleneck of growth for an HPC data center, I know a lot of focus is placed on NVIDIA and the GPUs and the chips themselves, but the real bottleneck for growth in this industry is not the chips, it's the megawatts and the data center infrastructure in order to make them run. That's the area where a lot of data centers just have not been making the investments over the last couple of years to have the energy density that the new level of compute requires. And, it requires maybe 12, 18, 24 months to build out that kind of an infrastructure. So it's timeline to energization. Here's what's really driving value and is the real bottleneck for growth. And tariffs don't come into effect very much in that situation.
You mentioned energy earlier as a big reason for this acquisition. And I think that also goes into a policy conversation I want to talk about. Obviously, so much is changing in the United States, and one of those areas is energy. Bitfarms has talked a lot about energy efficiency. You've also talked about, relying heavily on hydroelectric power in the past and other renewable energy resources. Is that still high priority for you going forward in your U.S. expansion, given the changing regulations? What are you thinking about in terms of that growth of energy?
So managing our energy is crucial for us as a business, right? As I said, when you don't control the price of Bitcoin and we're not controlling our top line revenue, that places an even greater emphasis on controlling our costs as a business. And as a Bitcoin miner, 80 to 90% of our costs on the OpEx side are going to come from the energy costs. And so if I can control my energy costs, whether it be through curtailment or hedging programs or a variety of methods that we have here in the PJM market, that's going to create a lot of flexibility for me. That's going to help me as us as a company have strong margins for us to grow off of. So having your energy is really, really crucial. The opportunity that's present here in the United States, I think, is that for decades, all of this energy infrastructure which was built to power American manufacturing, started to get really underutilized because that manufacturing went offshore. It went to Asia, it went to all these other countries. And over the last 4 or 5 years, it's been the Bitcoin miners who are seeing these underutilized assets. They're seeing cheap energy, and they were making the investments in that infrastructure. Now that the pendulum is swinging back hard to the U.S. and there's a big focus on onshoring and bringing American manufacturing back to the United States, it's companies like Bitfarms and these Bitcoin miners who've invested so much into these hard energy assets that have what everyone wants right now, which is a lot of energy, cost effective and available, now or in the short term.
Yeah, what you're talking about is what the crypto industry has been excited about across the board, which is a real about face in terms of U.S. regulation about welcoming the crypto industry. What are you looking out for at Bitfarms in terms of crypto regulation? Are things like a strategic Bitcoin reserve really going to move the needle for you, or what is your focus right now?
So for us, really, I think as a crypto business, our biggest objective here would just be to and it's not even about special treatment. It's really just about not having the specific targeting against our industry. I don't think we're looking for a lot of handouts or favors. We just want to be treated fairly like all other industries. And I think if we're able to do that, then there's going to be tremendous amount of promise in the United States because people want to invest here. They want that regulatory certainty. They want that clarity. They want to know if they're investing, 1, 10, 100 million, whatever that is, that, there's not going to be a change in policy that undermines the entire investment. And so just having that certainty, having that clarity and not having a hostile regime in place, I think is going to open the floodgates for investment in crypto in the United States. We'll see what happens on the strategic Bitcoin reserve side. I think anything that happens there is going to be positive for the price of Bitcoin. But we're not relying on that as a business, and none of our investments in the United States are relying on a strategic Bitcoin reserve.
Yeah. Final question in terms of the current environment we're in the United States. Are you looking at any other acquisitions or growth opportunities in the United States? What are you looking at here?
Yeah, so we've always have an eye on growth. We've got a very active corp dev team who's constantly evaluating new opportunities. We look all over the world. Historically, we've grown in multiple different countries, but when you look out at where the best opportunities are right now, they're in the United States, in our view. They have the best legal jurisdiction. We've got the most attractive costs here on energy. You've got an administration who looks like they're going to help cut down the regulatory red tape on new energy generation, new energy connections, and really reinvest in American energy infrastructure the first time that we haven't seen in decades. And so the opportunities, for us are really, really focused on the United States. But we've unlocked a huge pipeline of growth here in Pennsylvania with the Stronghold acquisition. So the sites themselves have a power plant on each site, but they also have a bunch of power applications that have been put into the queue for a long time coming. And so that means that both of these sites have the ability to grow up to nearly 500 megawatts apiece. So there's a 1 gigawatt growth pipeline in Pennsylvania with this acquisition and our 3 different sites there. So tremendous amount of growth for us. So our emphasis is really going to be focusing on that. But we have, like I said, we have an active corp dev team, and there's just a tremendous amount of opportunity in America right now.